Welcome to Station 2, Finding the Intercepts. You will be looking for the X and Y intercepts today. Number 1 on your problem looks like this. We will walk through it together. You are looking for what is Y when X is 0 and what is X when Y is 0. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little table. Actually, I'm going to give myself a little more room than that. When X is 0, I need to find what Y is. And when Y is 0, I need to find out whatever X is. I'm going to put this up here in case it helps. Okay. So then I come over here to my equation, right here. I want to find my y-intercept first, so I'm going to fill in 0 for x. So I'm looking for y, 9 over 2, and instead of x, I'm going to put in 0, minus 4. 9 halves times 0. Well, I know that any number times 0 is going to be 0. So I end up with y equals 0 minus 4. And 0 minus 4, y is going to be negative 4. So over here on my first one, I'm going to erase my question mark, and I'm going to write in negative 4, because I know when x is 0, y will be negative 4. Then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to look for this term. Alright, so now it says I need to find out when y is 0, what is x? So instead of 0 or y, I'm putting in 0 equals 9 halves x minus 4. So I start by circling what I'm solving for. How do I get rid of the minus 4? You add it to both sides. So I have 4 equals 9 halves x. So then how do I get rid of the 9 halves? Well, I look to get rid of the fraction first because that's the easiest way. So how do I get rid of a divide by 2? I multiply by 2. So I end up with 2 times 4, which is 8. These cancel, and I'm left with 9x. So then, circle it again. How do I undo a 9 times x? You divide by 9. Divide by 9. So x equals 8 divided by 9. So up here, where my question mark is, I know that when y is 0, x will be 8 over 9, which means you're not quite at 1, but you're really, really close to the 1. Then I'm done. This tells me my y-intercept, and this tells me my x-intercept. Let's move on to number 2. Again, I'm looking for my x and my y intercepts. I want to know what y is when x is 0, and I want to know what x is when y is 0. So I begin by filling in 0 for x. So I have y equals negative 2/5 times 0, minus 4. Well, I know anything times 0 is 0. So negative 2/5 times 0 has got to be 0. So I end up with y equals 0 minus 4. You can put that in your calculators if you would like. However, 0 minus 4 is negative 4. So now I know what my y-intercept is. I need to find my x-intercept. So instead of y, I'm writing 0, and then I leave the rest of my equation the way it is, and I search for x. So I'm going to circle what I'm solving for, which means that negative 4 has to go away first. So I do so by adding 4 to both sides. So I end up with 4 equals negative 2/5 x. Again, I want to get rid of that divide by 5 first. It's the easiest way. So multiply both sides by 5. And 5 times 4 is 20 equals negative 2x. Because these make 1. How do I undo a negative 2? I divide by negative 2. So my x value will be negative 10. So my x-intercept is negative 10. So this tells me that when x is 0, my y will be negative 4. When y is 0, my x will be negative 10. So if I wanted to graph my line to get a look at it, I could draw my line, go down to negative 4, that's going to be one of my dots, go over to negative 10, go down to negative 10, that's my second dot, and I can connect them. If I needed to find my slope, I could use these 2 points to find my slope. Lots of different things you can do with this information. Okay, take a look at number 3. Number 3 looks different. It says y equals negative 5. It doesn't have a slope. So I thought we would begin this by graphing it. So if I have y equals negative 5, I'm going to go to negative 5 on my axis. Actually, I'm going to do it with a different color because that color just is not as pretty as I wanted it to be. Right there, in between negative 4 and negative 6, and that means it's going to be a horizontal line going across the negative 5. Which means my y-intercept is going to be 0, negative 5. But you'll notice my line will never cross the x-axis. Therefore, there is no x-intercept. Awesome, right? Because that makes this one done. Moving on. Alrighty. Again, we're looking for x and y intercepts. So when x is 0, what is y? When y is 0, what is x? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to write it out. Now you'll notice that when we talked about graphing lines, we talked about the number not hooked onto x as being our y-intercept. If you look at the last 2 problems, you will see that that stands true. So I already know that my y-intercept is going to be a negative 5. So I don't need to fill in 0 for x. I know what it is. So then for my x-intercept, I fill in 0 for y, and I solve for x. I begin by circling what I'm solving for. How do I get rid of a minus 5? You plus 5 on both sides. So I have 5 equals negative 2x. How do I get rid of that negative 2? You divide by negative 2 because it's located inside of our circle. So x is going to be negative 5 over 2. So that is my answer. Alrighty. Now this is one that is not in slope-intercept form. So we will in fact have to fill it in for both. So let's begin. If x is 0, so I have 0 plus 4y equals negative 8. Well, that 0 goes away because like we talked yesterday, anytime I give you 0 of anything, you're not getting anything. Anytime I take 0 away from you, you're not losing anything. So 0's gone. And how do I get rid of 4 times y? I divide by 4. So y equals negative 2. So my y-intercept will be a negative 2. So then I look and I fill in 0 for y. So I have x plus 4 times 0 equals negative 8. Well, like we talked before, anything times 0 is 0. So x is going to be negative 8. The rest are yours to do. Please work as hard as you can to get most of them done. We will talk about what to do if you don't get them all done later on. Thank you so much.